throughout time. In 1561, there was a battle of Nuremberg, describes a dreadful apparition. Obviously, this is 1561, so this is how they explain things like that. And basically saying that they saw a bunch of globes in the air that just hovered, and then they started apparently fighting each other. And
What?
then what had happened is one of the globes had crashed and it was shards of metal. At that time, they described it as basically like almost like armor that had fallen onto the ground. And at the end of the battle, apparently a large, great black spear-like thing went through the air after, and then everything just left, like except for like the remnants of the ground. Apparently, those things, the remnants of the ground, stayed, which is like, well, then how do we not have proof of that UFO? But then also in 1776, when an army of Saxons surrounded a castle in France, there was two large flaming discs that went over the church that they were going to invade, and they left because they thought it was going to be a divine intervention, because it was it's always
That's
this,
fair. Like,
always this.
yeah, that's fair too. Like, especially in those times, you know, when religion is, I think, um, what heavily guides, you know, people at that time. Um, yeah, like if you see some shit that you can't explain, you're like, oh fuck, like God's definitely pissed about this. Like, how else do you explain it, right? Like, what else you can be like, holy shit, like especially over a church, and you see that, you're like, yeah, I'm out, 100% I'm out.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can argue, hey, well, an entire army witnessed this event, an entire army, but then you can be like, well, thousands and thousands of people, well, hundreds of thousands of people witnessed Jesus, but yet, you know, we discredit that because, you know what I mean? Like you,
Very true.
which one do you believe, which one you don't? Because it's so far in the past. Who here is going to verify that information?
Yeah, what's the credibility there? That's
Yeah,
a fair
that's
point.
because that ties back to like did aliens visit in the past? Because, you know, people talk a lot about some religions being based off of alien experiences and what they gave, and they were revered to as gods, which is fair. I mean, you know, 100%. Why wouldn't you see it any other way than that? If, you know, they come with technology that's so far advanced past the time that you live in, like. So do you think if time traveler came from the future that we'd be like, yo, this guy's a god. He's the techno king.
No.
Do you think he'd be wearing Yeezys?
Yeah, he'd be with like Reebok, because because Kanye would have left Adidas now, because I think he's gonna hit every shoe brand. But anyways.
No, but what you were saying though about them assuming these aliens would be gods, in 1776, a lot of most, if not every single religion is pretty well cemented at that point. Like they've got their roots deep.
They're like scrolling through the Bible. They're like, "Where the hell are the flying discs?" Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if they saw that and they saw this very technological being and these all this sci-fi shit, I don't think they would call it a god. I think they'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" But like that, in no way, shape, or form fits our definition of divine beings.
I think for them though, it was also just because they didn't see a ship. For them, what they saw were flaming circles in the air, which is like just like very bright, luminescent, almost like a miniature sun in the air. So then to them, they're like, oh my god, that maybe to them that was a resemblance of God being like.
Could it have just been like planets aligning or something like that in a way that's not normal? That it would, you know what I mean? Like
a solar eclipse.
Maybe not solar eclipse, but something. You know how there's times when you can see, you know, like Mars or whatnot. Like I don't know. I'm just kind of.
Well, that was absolutely a thing as far as Mayan and Aztec mythology goes. Is a lot of it was like astronomical stuff that they interpreted as gods and what, like solar eclipses and stuff was. I think it's Kukulkan being like upset, and they would have to sacrifice and stuff to get the sun back, and not knowing that it's just a solar eclipse. I might be butchering that. I'm sorry for anyone who's like super into Mayan shit. Maybe I just fucked it up. Oops.
I'm no Mayan expert.
Whoops.